Hey guys, welcome back to Supercar Street Racing, and today we're going to talk about life without a car. Hey guys, welcome back to Supercar Street Racing. I'm so glad you could join us today for a little video about my life without an automobile. I know it's hard to believe, but yes, I do not own a car, and we're going to go over some of the reasons why I don't own a car, what my plans are for the future, what I'm doing right now to get by, and what this saves me in money from not owning a vehicle. So let's get right into it. So let's first talk about what happened to my old vehicle. So I had a 2011 BMW 335i convertible. It was black with like the tan kind of light brown leather, which I absolutely loved. Now I bought this car back about 4 years ago down in South Florida. I did overpay for the car. I paid $18,000 for the car. However, it was in immaculate condition and it had an aftermarket warranty, which was unheard of. It's really hard to find these cars with aftermarket warranties, but I did find one with an aftermarket warranty, and it had pretty low miles on it. I think I bought it with around 32,000 miles on it, which is very low, even at that time for a 2011 car. And so yeah, it was black, it had aftermarket wheels, and it was in amazing condition. It had one little problem and it never was fixed, and I always got the same answer from BMW, and that is just how it is, and that is the AC system was not great. And the last time I actually took the car in to be serviced, they told me that they compared it to another 335i from 2011, and that's just the way it was. The car was black, it was a convertible, they don't have great insulation in the ceiling, so I lived with the mediocre air conditioning through the whole life of that vehicle, and it was in the shop about 5 different times for that. The condenser was replaced twice because I guess they were clueless about what was going on. So yeah, that's really the biggest problem I had with the car. But in the long run, I started having other issues with the vehicle, and we did use up all of the remaining aftermarket warranty on the car. For those of you guys who don't know how an aftermarket warranty works, they will only honor what your car is worth by Kelley Blue Book. If your car is worth $11,000, that's the maximum amount of repairs they will do on your vehicle. It's just like when you have insurance on your car and you get your car totaled. Same thing if you have a aftermarket warranty, and fortunately for me, the value of the car did go up a little bit when I owned it, so I got a little bit more out of the warranty, but they ended up paying a little over $11,500 for payouts on the warranty. Now granted, this car was modified, it was tuned, and so all the coil packs went multiple times. That is expected from a 2011 335i. Any E92, E93, E90 vehicle with the N54 or N55. Once you tune that car, you're going to start hitting the limits of the factory parts, and when the parts are old, things like your coil packs will be the first thing to take you down. So that was a little bit of the issues I had with the car, and then towards the end of the life of the car, we had the major problem with the vehicle. I did have one accident. It wasn't my fault. They called it my fault, and that is a big box in the road that fell out of a truck I hit. And anytime you hit something in the road, that is your fault no matter what happens. So just remember that if you hit something laying in the road. But as we were talking about a few minutes ago, what started happening later in the life of the car is that all of a sudden, out of the blue, you would start the car, it would run fine, and then all of a sudden it would start running super rough and want to go dead, and then and then it would just stop doing that, but it progressively got worse and worse as I owned the car, and eventually I had to take it to the same shop that works on my car all the time, that is Sam's Automotive in Jacksonville, and that is where my bad experiences started. So we brought the car to Sam's Automotive in Jacksonville, and that's who usually worked on my vehicle. However, this time was a different story about what happened with the car. We did get the car in there, and I kind of knew this was going to be a nightmare, and so he started checking what was wrong with the car, and he did a smoke test, and he did find a issue with a leak in one of the pipes. I think it was the intercooler pipe was disconnected, and I thought for sure that was what was going on with the car. Now here's another thing. Before I took the car to Sam's Automotive, it was throwing codes. When you would get on the throttle hard, it would throw a code, and something about air leak detected between turbocharger and intake valves. Now I thought for sure that was a good indication that intercooler pipe that was off, fixing that would clear the codes. So I did go back to look at the car again, and he did tell me that it was not running good still, and he was still checking out what was wrong with the car. So I started getting frustrated because he had the car for about 2 months and I had not heard back from him, and I kept calling, and eventually I did finally get a call back from him that they were at a dead end and they were not going to charge me anymore for the work that was done, and they wanted me to come get the car because they were out of ideas, unfortunately. So at that point I did go pick up the car from Sam's Automotive. So I picked up my car from Sam's Automotive, barely knowing if it would run or not, and thinking, well, the next logical step is obvious. We got to pay the dealer, to really break into this car and see what's going on with it. Now, here's another thing that started happening with the car. When Sam's Automotive got the car, I did not clear the codes in the car. He had asked me not to do that anymore, so I had stopped actually clearing the codes from the car. Once Sam got the car, and even right before I brought it to him, I checked the codes on the car and it had 0 codes, and it was running like absolute garbage. So Sam had the car, it wouldn't show any codes, it would not throw any codes whatsoever the whole time he had the vehicle. Now that's even before it had the code about the intake leak. So when I first brought it to him to diagnose what was going on with the car, barely running, it had no codes going on whatsoever, and it would never throw a code. So I took the car to the BMW dealer. I dropped it off with them on a Friday morning. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, BMW called me and said, come get your car. Now, when has a dealership ever told you to come get your car? When have they not at least tried to rape you on prices or see what's going on with the car? Well, long story short, when they plugged up to the computer and they could get no codes on the car, they asked me to come get the car, and I did. I brought the car home, barely got the car home, running absolutely terrible, would try to die at every light. You'd have to keep it revved up and it would just try to die. Got the car home, tried to pull the codes again, and of course, the car is not throwing any codes. So this was a time of serious contemplation for me. This car was slowly losing value. It was worth less than $10,000 at the time. These cars don't hold their value whatsoever. Even a perfect 335i 2011 is worth almost nothing. There's millions of them out there. This one had issues. I thought to myself, do I want to deal with this car anymore, or do I want to sell this car and take the money and put it right into my house? So this was a pivotal decision for me. I absolutely love this car. It had awesome wheels on it. It had a lot of aftermarket parts. It had a digital instrument cluster, which I did take out, by the way. I wasn't able to sell the wheels before I took it. Nobody was interested in the wheels. That's another thing. It's very hard to sell parts off of this car as well. I tried on Facebook Marketplace before I sold the car, and nobody was interested in the wheels. Nobody is interested in the heads-up display because it has issues and doesn't fit right. And so I did leave the Android head unit inside the car, but I did take out the instrument cluster. I still have it if anybody's interested in the ID4 instrument cluster for the 335i. So what did I end up doing with my car? So it's really simple. I have sold a car to Carvana before, and it's the easiest thing in the world. The car just has to be able to be running and be test driven, and my car will run and would test drive. And to be honest with you, Carvana does not even do that most of the time. So I gave Carvana a little look up online. I put in the specs of the car, I put in that it was running, but that it had engine problems, and they came back with an offer of about $7,500 for the 335i. Now granted, the wheels alone are worth $2,000 and I had brand new tires on it. However, nobody wanted to buy the wheels and tires from me, and at this point I was happy to get out from under this car before I spent another dime on it and take that $7,500 and put it right into this house towards the payoff of the house. So that's what happened to the 335i. Carvana came like 2 days later. They sent me all the paperwork, I e-signed it, they came and picked up the car on a wrecking truck, and they took the 335i, and I waved goodbye to the 335i forever. Let's talk about what I am saving on having a vehicle in the garage versus not having a vehicle whatsoever. And I mean a car, because there are a couple of vehicles actually in the garage, which you will see here shortly. So obviously the first thing that I saved on was my old car. My old car was costing me money, and it had no more warranty on it, and it was going to cost, and that was another thing about getting rid of the car. I didn't know how much BMW would charge, if they would even fix it, and if I brought it to another shop, I was probably going to have to tow it there. I didn't know how much another shop was going to charge me either, so just getting rid of the car, I saved on maintenance and repairs on my old car, which could have been anywhere from a couple of $100s to several $1,000s, or I might have gotten a bill for a diagnosis and then chosen to sell the car anyway. So let's say that the first thing, which I didn't even write down here, is that I save on my old vehicle. The next thing I save on, obviously, is the purchase of a new vehicle. If I don't have to buy a car, I have no money being tied up into payments or putting a lot of money down into a new vehicle. Now, what am I looking to spend if I do buy a new vehicle? It's substantial. It'll be over $100,000, so I'm saving well over $100,000 by not going out there and just jumping on the first car that I see. What's the second thing I save on here? Well, obviously car insurance. Now that accident with the box in the road was my second at-fault accident. The first one was a few years ago and is about to fall off my record here in the next couple of months. That second accident really jacked up my insurance. In fact, it doubled it from $600 a month to almost $1,200 a month for full coverage. So you could say I'm saving $2,400 a year on car insurance by not having a vehicle in that garage or not having a car in that garage. Now the third thing, gas. This is actually the fourth thing if you count not buying a new car, but the third thing is actually fuel. Now I am considering buying a Tesla Model S Plaid, which will eliminate fuel altogether, but it does use electricity. The electric Model S Plaid uses about $10 to fill up the tank is the estimate that you get, but the new car would definitely use fuel. I don't know how much. I don't commute to work and back, so we don't have to worry about a commute, but there would be fuel used of some kind. Who knows, $200 a month maybe. I'm just throwing a figure out there for casual driving, and that is saving on fuel. And of course, the last thing with a new car is repairs and maintenance. Who knows how much you will spend on repairs and maintenance? You're going to have to buy tires regardless, so you're probably looking at a Model S Plaid uses tires that will wear out fast because they're performance tires. I would spend around $800 a year on tires for the 335IS. Those are Pilot Sport 4S's, and I would guess that maintenance on a car is going to be anywhere from $1,200 to $2,500 a year for oil changes and things like that. That's assuming you don't have to do any repairs. If you do have to do repairs, who knows how high that could go, as high as $10,000, who knows? It's really just a guessing game. So those are the things that I am saving, and you're not even talking about regular maintenance like washes and things like that, and maintenance going to the shop and fixing things that need regularly scheduled maintenance. So maybe $2,500 to $10,000 a year on that. So those are the 4 things I am saving on by not having a car in my garage. So let's talk a little bit about how I'm getting by now without having a car. I'm sure a lot of people who live in places like New York City will tell you it's pretty easy to do that. However, this is Jacksonville, Florida. We are the largest landmass city in the country, and we are spread out. Now, I don't live in the country per se, but I don't live next to any shopping centers or anything like that. They are at least a couple of miles away from me. So actually getting by without a car is not impossible, but it's also not super easy. Right now, I'm going to show you one way that I get by without a car, and I'm going to cut away to that now while I talk. So this is my awesome golf cart. This is a 2014 Club Car Precedent. I bought this golf cart for $5,700. I would say about 6 months ago. I got a really good deal on the golf cart, and it had pretty fresh batteries. They are a couple of years old, and you saw with my channel how I took this golf cart and made it into something special from something that needed just a little bit of work. It did need some refreshing, and I did add a lot of things to it. I added a full stereo system. We have done the front bushings in it. We have lowered it and raised it a little bit in the back, and it was already lowered in or raised in the front from the stock height so that you could put 14-inch wheels and tires on it. It does have wheels and tires, and it has lights and blinkers and all that stuff. And now coming back to me here in the Supercar Street Racing Studios, I can tell you that that golf cart has actually helped me out tremendously. I am able to take that golf cart all the way down to Publix. There is a hardware store down there as well, and there is Cliff's Bar and Grill and a couple of other restaurants, and I have been able to get my own groceries and go to the bar and go get food whenever I want it. That is pretty much my main essentials here, food and the hardware store, and that is one way I have done without a vehicle. So what else do I do to get by without a car? Well, I've got some awesome neighbors that live just across the street there, and they've offered to take me places when they go just because we like hanging out. It's really actually really fun. And so my neighbor Rich and my neighbor Trish always give me rides if I want to go somewhere with them to like Publix, and Rich goes over to BJ's all the time and I go with him. And if I need any special favors, if I need to go somewhere else, they're always down to kind of drive me around, and it's been really nice to have them as my neighbors. And what else do I do to get around? So of course, there's Uber and Lyft. I haven't had to do this a lot, but if I need to go somewhere that's far away and I don't want to inconvenience my neighbors, of course, I'll just call Lyft or Uber and I'll take them. So what have I spent on Lyft or Uber per week? No more than $20 per week, because I really don't go that many places. Sometimes I go to the local bar and I don't want to take the golf cart, like on a weekend night. I'll just take Uber or Lyft up to the bar, and it's about $8 each way. So Uber or Lyft has taken me where I needed to go. If I need to go to the doctor or anything else like that, I will Uber or Lyft. If I need to go on a date, I can Uber or Lyft and meet someone out like that. And that has been the other way that I get places. So how else do I care for myself in this place? So obviously there's a lot of delivery options now since the coronavirus actually happened. And so we can pretty much get whatever we want delivered right here to the house. So I do use delivery from both Kroger and from Publix to get groceries sometimes. And then I also use things like delivery for fast food and like food from anywhere, actually, not just fast food. I use delivery for food from all the restaurants around the area. So that's the other way I take care of myself here with no vehicle. So the last part of this video is, what are my plans for the future? I know you guys are thinking you're not going to live without a car forever. Well, that is the hope that soon I will purchase a car. Now, here is my conundrum here with a car, and this is what has kept me from purchasing yet. So I've been looking at a lot of cars. I've been looking at Tesla Model S Plaid, Lamborghini Huracan, 911 Turbo S Porsche, and also Audi RS3, RS7, and a few other ones like the R8. And I just really can't make up my mind. I love the Model S Plaid. I love that it's electric and one of the fastest, if not the fastest vehicles on the street. However, I also love the Huracan with the attention that it would get, and the Model S does not get that much attention because it looks like a regular Model S. 911 Turbo, fantastic performing car. Audi R8, there are a couple of twin turbo Audi R8s out there for around $150,000. So the hope is that one day soon I will find something. Now, the longer I don't buy a vehicle, the more money I am just putting in the bank, and that's just better all the way around for me and for everyone else, especially the people that I'm buying from, because I would have more cash to put down. Now, the other thing is also I can't actually find the exact vehicle that I want as far as the Model S Plaid. That is the one car that if I buy it, I want black on black, and the black interior has to be the carbon fiber interior. I do not want black on white or black on cream or any of that, and I don't want the ash black interior. And it does have to be a 2022 or newer because they changed the headlights to their new laser LED headlights, and they were a big improvement, and I do want that. They have not changed the vehicle from 2022 to 2023. However, I do want at least a 2022. The Tesla Model S Plaid has dropped in price again to $109,000. So I'm hoping that I will find one here pretty quickly in the $100,000 range, and it will be black on black and a 2022 or a 2023. There is one sitting on right now on Tesla.com that is going for $111,000, and it is no better than the new price, because a brand new $109 plus $1,500 for black paint, you might as well order yourself a brand new one. And that's what's happening in the supercar street racing vehicle out there in the garage, not happening. And I wanted you guys to know how I live my life without a car. Please like and subscribe, and please purchase your items from Amazon through any of my links. You don't have to click on the one that I am reviewing. If you buy through my links, I get paid a little bit of money no matter what you buy. So click one of my links every time you're going to go buy something from Amazon. It helps me out tremendously. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on Supercar Street Racing.